Thank you. My name is Robert Loughran. I'm here on behalf of Charles Foster, the chairman of the Immigration Task Force of the Greater Houston Partnership. The Greater Houston Partnership is an organization of over 30 chambers of commerce from the counties surrounding Harris County and the larger Houston area. The Houston area and the chambers of commerce have determined over the years that at least the Houston economy, and by extension the Texas economy, is largely dependent on workers who are both legal immigrants and undocumented workers. That the Greater Houston Partnership is very concerned, as was testimony earlier today, that Texas might be painted with the same brush that Arizona and Georgia has been painted. It has a direct economic impact on Texas jobs, whether that be tourism, conventions, and also just having workforces. I do know from speaking with colleagues that what has been testified earlier today about not being able to get farm workers to pick fruits and vegetables in Georgia, having over $1 billion damage. We still have a very significant agricultural community here in Texas. I also wanted to just point out that I'm a board-certified immigration lawyer. I serve pro bono on the State Bar of Texas Committee on Laws Related to Immigration. That makes me a immigration expert. I've spent my last 25 years studying and working in this particular area. I do know from my interactions what the witnesses have said earlier today. I've been here since 7 o'clock in the morning, listened to, I believe, a dozen sheriffs and police chiefs who have talked about the intimidation of witnesses and victims. I have tremendous heartache for those who are the victims of crimes, regardless of who the perpetrators are. I think we've heard about some horrible crimes here today. I did do a stint in the Harris County District Attorney's Office prior to becoming an immigration lawyer, and I do know that the focus should be on the crime. Specifically, the immigration status is ancillary, it's secondary. If someone's a murderer, they're a murderer and they need to be pursued. If they're a rapist, they need to be pursued. If they're abusing children, they need to be pursued. So what we do know, absolutely, and I have personal experience with this, it is so difficult at times when after tens of hours have been invested or more into a investigation or a prosecution, if you cannot get that complaining witness, the DA will actually drop the case. And I'm concerned as a resident of the state, as a United States citizen, about the enforcement of all our laws, and that we need to, what I'm concerned about with this particular bill is it doesn't get from point A to point B. I think Ronald Reagan would turn over in his grave that we're having a bill proposed out of Lubbock, which may be passed by this committee, that is telling Harris County or Houston what they can and cannot do. I hear in the media all the time, and it's been Republican doctrine for 30 years that the feds should not be telling the state what to do. And here we have a situation where the state is telling the municipalities what to do. We've had testimony here that what happens in El Paso, or how local policies are made in El Paso, is different from what's in Brownsville, which is different from what's in Houston, and what's different in Austin. I think we, as Americans, we celebrate that, and we heard also today from the sheriffs and police chiefs that they need to be able to control their enforcement agents. I grew up next door neighbors, all constables and sheriffs or what have you, and I can tell you from personal experience that the complexity of immigration law is lost on a lot of these individuals, and that, as was discussed earlier today, racial profiling is absolutely a natural consequence. I think that, lastly, the whole concept of the fact that there are sanctuary cities, the premise of this bill is a fictitious premise. As you heard from the sheriff for Harris County, they are alleged to be a sanctuary city. They process.
Would you close quickly, Mr. Walker?
I will. They process everyone. They do run them through the fingerprints, but they don't do it in a way that intimidates witnesses and individuals on the street. When they have arrested someone for a crime, citizen, permanent resident, other, it doesn't matter. Then they process the individual. Everyone's 10 printed. They run the background. And I just wanted to close with a concept. We're talking about passing a law here, and everyone says, well, there ought to be a law. There are dozens of laws here, and passing another law is not going to make change at all the enforcement of the law. The feds are pursuing this. It was testified earlier today. Border Patrol has doubled. I, as part of this committee, have been down there at the border. The money flowing into the Border Patrol, they're all doing overtime. They're tripping all over each other. They are very much on this. The current president is known as the deporter-in-chief. There have been more people deported under this president than any
Mr.
other.
Loughran, would you close, please?
Okay.
Questions?